Hello and welcome to Inside F1. As the season approaches its end, the sport stands on the brink of major change. Jenson Button has the Drivers' Championship within reach, and by this time next week there will be a new man in charge at the very top of Formula One. It could well be our guest tonight, former World Rally champion, four-time winner of the Paris-Dakar race and former MEP Ari Vatanen. If he gets the job, there is plenty of work to do. Let's just remind ourselves what a year it's been.
Bonkers.
Lewis Hamilton insists he's not a liar after being disqualified from the Australian Grand Prix for misleading race stewards. He said McLaren sporting director Dave Ryan, who's been suspended, had instructed him to withhold information.
I've never felt so bad. I'm not a liar. I've not gone through my life being a liar. I think it's right for me as a human being and as a man to stand in front of you all and tell you exactly what went on and put my hands up and say, I couldn't tell you how sorry I am.
Bonkers.
Formula One has been thrown into chaos on the eve of the British Grand Prix after some of its biggest teams announced they want to break away to form a rival championship.
The moment that they come to their senses, these things could stop. But in the meantime, my duty is to protect the interests of the FIA by every possible means. And if that includes taking legal action, I must do so.
You're a lunatic. Max says you're heading up the loony party.
You know what? I never, maybe I am.
Do you think the teams are going to break away and make their own championship?
Absolutely, yes.
Bonkers.
Legal proceedings have been issued against Simon Gillette, the CEO of the company which leases and runs the Donington Motor Racing Circuit, which is due to stage the Formula One Grand Prix from next year.
There will be a British Grand Prix for sure. It depends if Donington have got their act together or not. If not, it'll be here.
Bonkers.
Formula One is embroiled in another damaging row after the Renault team were accused of race fixing by one of their former drivers. Nelson Piquet Jr. claims Renault ordered him to crash on purpose during last year's Singapore Grand Prix.
Renault and myself, we put a criminal plans to the two Piquet in the High Court of Paris for blackmail.
The latest scandal in the world of Formula One involves the Renault team. Its boss, Flavio Briatore, has resigned. Renault has decided not to dispute charges of race fixing in the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix.
Keeping the trust of the public that it is a sport and not just a rather dodgy business is vital. And, if doing that results in losing a team or two, we've got to do it, because otherwise we'll lose Formula One.
It was a crash which left Nelson Piquet Jr. unharmed. Now it seems that Renault and their driver Fernando Alonso have also emerged unscathed from one of sport's most extraordinary deceptions.
Bonkers.
Awesome! Jenson, that was unbelievable.
Certainly plenty to talk about, I'm sure you'll agree. Well, our guest tonight is one of the two candidates for the presidency of the FIA, the organisation that runs motorsport, Ari Vatanen. I'm sure a lot of you will remember him as the 1981 World Rally champion and hugely successful in the Paris-Dakar rally down the years. Remember that? Enjoy those times? I'm sure you did.
Fantastic memories.
Yes.
Fantastic memories.
If you're in charge this time next week, what will your priorities be?
I think priorities are simply that normal corporate governance has to be applied today in commercial life, political life, and why not in a sport federation. And what the good governance is today, tomorrow it has to be even better. And I think in any federation, I'm not saying this against Max Mosley by any means, but any federation when it's led by one man for too long, it does need a reform, and that's what we are proposing.
You talk about corporate governance. It looks like you've already started your work on one level, certainly, because we've just this afternoon had a press release from the FIA telling us that you've actually asked for a French court to monitor the election next week. Do you have faith in next week's election?
No, I'm sure we will have, but that demand we were obliged to do it because so many clubs all over the world, they were afraid that the vote will not be secret. And because there is certain level of intimidation and fear and fear of sanctions. So when they go to a voting booth, they must know that the vote is secret, and that is the way to make sure it. So we owe that to the people of FIA, and I don't know why FIA should react angrily, if they have nothing to hide.
Are you confident the vote will be secret?
Well, till a few days ago, not, but now I will be. It will be done obviously normally, yes, and that's a big plus for us.
Let's talk a little bit about what we saw in that piece, that tape we just saw. For example, the crash, Nelson Piquet Jr., the whole scandal that erupted after that, Flavio Briatore being thrown out of motorsport. How would you have handled all of that?
Well, I don't want to be, with the help of hindsight, it's so much easier to say. I think we should more concentrate the overall view that let's what was about to happen a few months ago, that F1 nearly broke into two, or F1 was about to start a parallel championship. So that means that things are not right in our family, and that was a really alarm call, and we cannot continue like business as usual. So we must do, to bring people's confidence back into F1, that that people would remain in a F1 FIA championship, and if people are happy in a FIA championship, it's good for FIA, it's good for club, and now the only question we must ask ourselves is how can we make a sport better, and we can only make it better by working together, not by having some political power games one after another.
Sports reputation has been damaged over the last year though, hasn't it?
Yes, unfortunately, and FIA family as a whole, it's more than 20 drivers of Formula 1. There are over 100 million automobilists, and that's why this whole family, it needs proper governance. Nothing, not the rocket science, but honesty, openness, accountability, and that's what we are proposing.
Ari, for now, thanks very much indeed. Well, of course, it's Brazil this weekend, and we all remember the drama of last year's Brazilian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton won the World Championship on the last corner of the last lap of the last race of the season. It might not be quite as dramatic this weekend, but Brazil has had its fair share of excitement.